Hello, 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 hello. It's Memory from Friends Abroad Relationship School. I hope everyone is okay. So, we have a new show or new self-healing episode today, which is called Bringing Trauma or Learning About Trauma from Our Screens. So what that means is that can you ask to be aided, Deborah? So we will be discussing a film each week or whenever we can, and we will be sharing our views, the self-healer's view relationship to trauma. What traumas we can pick up on the screen. So this is what we want to do because we want to try and learn as much as we can or utilize as many resources as we can. You're upside down, Deborah, to heal trauma. So with me today is my friend abroad, Deborah Stapashia, all the way from Italy. And Deborah, can you introduce yourself briefly, please? Hello, Deborah. And there I am. I have just disappeared from the screen. Okay, what I would do is I would take Deborah off and then she can come back again. Hi, Wadza. Hi, Ruby. So today, the movie that we want to talk about is the movie Tallulah. So Tallulah is a 2016 movie featuring Elliot Page. Hi, Deborah, once again.
Can you see me now?
Yes, I can see you. Do you want to turn your camera a little bit so that you are not upside down?
Like this?
Okay. Yes. So can you introduce yourself briefly to our audience, please?
Oh my God. My name is Deborah. I'm almost 40. I live in Italy. I'm from Italy, actually. And I've been joining Friends Abroad. It's been like a year and a half now. Yep, year and a half. And I don't know what else to say.
Well, that's fine. Anything else can come up later. So we want to just dive into this movie. So I think you watched the movie.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't know, what's your view in terms of trauma? Because what we can do is we can probably look at the movie in layers of what traumas we recognized in there. What is your own view? What did you pick up? Well, Deborah is frozen again, I think. So I'm going to go ahead. In Tallulah, initially, we have Tallulah, going back to the time when she split up or when her boyfriend left her. And she lives in a van. She's a drifter. So you can actually pick up the trauma straight away with her drifting and living in the van. She is struggling, and also she's been abandoned, or she feels abandoned by a partner or a boyfriend with whom she was living in the van. And then she goes to her boyfriend's mom, Margot, and Margot is not so welcoming of her because she doesn't know Tallulah. So she obviously automatically ejects her. And then when Margot speaks to the hotel or the flat the attendant at the desk, she then says she wanted to see the girl if she comes back again. And Tallulah then goes to a hotel. I think she's desperate for food now. She doesn't have any food to eat, so she goes to a hotel and then just goes into a corridor and just starts eating food in the corridor that has been left for the people, the residents in the hotel. So you can see actually the risk taking in there. She's so desperate. And that is also synonymous, according to experts, synonymous with traumatized people. They just dive into unsafe situations. They don't consider what situations they are getting themselves into, which is what she is doing. I'm trying to aid you, Deborah. And then the next thing is she knocks on a door and somebody opens the door, this lady who has a child. And the next thing is what happens is Tallulah is now with Caroline. Caroline is a little girl. I might mess up names here. Um, is it Caroline? Just hang on a minute. Yes. So Caroline has got a daughter, a little girl who's very young, and daughter is naked, and she, there's a lot of alcohol in the room, in the hotel room, and the mom, Caroline, is getting ready to leave the room because she wants to go out to meet somebody when she has a young child, and she automatically asks. Hi, Deborah. It's such a nightmare,
Hello.
isn't it? Sometimes. Yeah. So Caroline asks Lou Tallulah to look after a baby, and they've just met. And Lou just said, she lied and said she works in the hotel. And Caroline automatically wants this stranger to stay with her baby. And again, you can see what's going on here. Caroline is married. What did you think about that, Deborah?
What about Caroline?
Yes, about Caroline leaving her, wanting to leave a child with Tallulah.
I was shocked because I mean she was like she wasn't even like, usually if you work like in a hotel or something you will have a uniform, so that say
Yes.
actually you work there. So she was a total stranger, and I will never even ask like a total stranger to hold my baby. And she just seemed like to me, if I was like working in social services, I wouldn't give in the child back to her because I think she's a very unfit mother. She only became a mom because she thought that like this she could get her husband not to leave her. I think all of three characters, they had been abandoned from a very young age, but they all reacted like in a different way. Like Tallulah became like a dismissive avoidant. Like she learned like not to rely on anybody, not to need anybody,
Yes.
and just rely on herself and just like push people away. Even when her boyfriend
Wow.
like asked her like, I want to have a normal life, I want to get married and have babies, like every woman will dream of that. You know, every woman will
Absolutely.
want to
Wow.
hear your partner asking you, you know, to get married and just like, you know, have babies, have a family or something. And she, I think maybe she felt smothered, and she was like, she became defensive like straight away because she was like, oh, this is how I live, if you don't like it, like you can leave. And he did leave. And I think
Wow.
maybe she
Wow.
was just like testing him, because I've done that in the past as well. I will tell people to leave, but in reality, I didn't want them to leave. I just wanted to see if they were gonna stay, or if they were actually leaving me, so I can just prove to myself, you see, he's abandoning me as well. And
That's really powerful. That's really
and
powerful. Thank you.
Margot, I think she was still like a, wow, she lived in the past, like she was just like resentful, and she still hold grudges for her ex-husband. I don't really remember how many years had passed since the divorce. I think maybe 3 or 5 or something, and she was still living like in the same house, same furniture, same things. Like she hadn't changed like her life around. She was still living in the past.
That's really amazing, and what you have said is actually these are actually very important points, that these ladies had been abandoned and they were dealing with their abandonment in different situations. In other words, they were looking for love in the wrong places, like what was happening with Caroline. She was trying to find that fulfillment in a relationship.
Yeah.
Initially she got it from a rich man. She thought she would get it from a rich man by marrying this man and then having a baby. She thought that that would fulfill her, and then she found out that that was not working, and now she's looking for other people, for other men. And also the other aspect of it is that the reason why she was not a fit for purpose mom is because she was emotionally unavailable herself. So you know, as we say, you cannot be an emotionally unavailable mother and parent a child effectively. It's very hard. As much as we might believe that I really want to be a parent to this child, but if you are not emotionally unavailable, you might as well be somebody who doesn't love that child. And she was clear about that, that she really didn't love that child. And what I like was that she was at least open about that. Yeah. Because many people
honest,
who are in that situation don't say.
She was really honest. She made it really clear that I mean the
Yes.
baby didn't have a diaper, and I was like, wow, who will let like a child, you know, just wander around the room with no diapers and just, you know, run objects, and about even the windows, they were all open. Okay, they had bars or something, but a mom would be very wary. And even when she came back and she was completely drunk, I mean, how can you pass out and have your 1-year-old baby next to you? I mean, the moment that you decide to have a kid, you have a responsibility. If you don't want that, like for example, I know that I don't want the responsibility, so I've chosen many years ago, I was like, being a mom is not for me, because I don't want this responsibility. And I don't want to change my lifestyle. I like my lifestyle as it is, and I know that a baby, my lifestyle will change. I don't want to do that. I've always been honest, even with my partners and everything. But even when she got back, she was like, oh, you see, he didn't want me in the end. So she didn't even care about this man. She just wanted to feel like, you know, she was needed, and then someone was not going to leave her.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, she just was looking for love in the wrong places, and a sense of responsibility was not there, because in herself she was actually a child. She was still looking for that worthiness. She was still looking for that parenting herself. And the problem is she was looking for it in the wrong places. And then we go on to Tallulah. She decides that she is now the responsible person to take away this child, you know, where she could actually have contacted authorities maybe, or if she wanted to earn some money with this woman, she could probably have stayed overnight, maybe slept with the baby there, and then maybe in the morning say to her, you know what, I'm going now that you are awake. But then she becomes a law unto herself, and she decides, because she is probably thinking of herself being abandoned, and she is looking at this little girl and she's thinking, I was once this little girl, so I need to save her. So she goes into savior mode, and then she takes this child away, and she is now committing a crime. And again, this makes you think about about what people who are traumatized do, because they are not in touch with their emotions. So what they do is that they just act on impulse rather than sit down and think, this is not right. But there are ways that I can manage this.
I used to do that as well, you know. I would just act because I didn't even think whether it was good or bad. I just knew that I had to do something, so I just acted.
I think we're losing you.
Maybe I should have done that, but most time it was already like too late, because I was so impulsive. I just had this need like to act, to do something. So, and I'm sorry, but I have to go. But it was
okay,
really
wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much. Take care. Yeah. So Yeah, very grateful to Deborah for being here. And the next thing Lou did, she then went on to take the child and leave the child with the child. And again, like I said, that's committing a crime. And this is a tendency that we can have when we have unhealed trauma, because we don't stop to think about the consequences of our actions. We just plunge into soothing behaviors that are self-sabotaging, rather than go within and actually ask for answers within ourselves. So that is one of the things that she did. And then when she was struggling with the baby, I think she was opening up also at some point to realize that she couldn't live with a child in a van. So she went to her ex-boyfriend's mom's house, and there was an element of responsibility to an extent there. And then she lied, of course, that the baby was hers and her boyfriend, so that the mom could look after the baby, could accept the baby in her own house. And also because Margot was struggling with her own traumas, it was an opportunity for her to have somebody to lean on, because sometimes when we are struggling, we find someone to lean on. When we are traumatized, we can find our fellow sufferers who we can walk with, which is what these women did. And meanwhile, Carolyn, the mother of the baby, when she called the police, she wasn't honest enough to say that she was drunk. Now she was really panicky. You could actually see the panic, the realization that as a mother, I want my child back. I have a responsibility to my child. And the problem is she wasn't honest enough, because maybe she feared the consequences now, because she had been drunk, knocked out when her child was taken from her. When someone left the hotel, this stranger left the hotel with her child. So you can see actually again the risk taking without consideration for well-being that's going on there. A clear sign of trauma, things that we can do when we are traumatized and not yet healed. And the thing with the father of Lou's ex, he was a bit aware, because he was a bit suspicious about Tallulah, and he mentioned this to his ex-wife, who in turn was very bitter. She didn't want to believe him, because she was only focusing on her story with her, which is what I call a pre-trigger. Because if you have got a pre-trigger with someone, you've got issues with someone, even if they tell you something that's helpful, sometimes you will not accept it. You won't accept what they are saying, because you have a story with them, rather than focus on what they are talking about, or what he was talking about. She is now focusing on their issue. And that's what it became. It became their issue when she and Tallulah and the baby went to visit her ex-husband with his partner. So you can see again the unfolding of trauma, and how judgmental she was towards him about the choices that he had made. Another part of it is that she was also staying in the flat that was given to him by the university, and still not moving on, as Deborah said, because of conditioning. She is a lady from a certain background, and she wants to maintain a status. And that's interesting in that movie about conditioning and status, how much importance we as society sometimes get hung up on status, on looks. They look like this, or they've got this, or they are doing this. So, I need to maintain my lifestyle, worried about being judged by friends, so instead of focusing on how happy she can be in her own life, she was focusing on the judgments of friends. The other person was the doorman at the reception. Margot, the mom of Tallulah's ex, was interested in him, but she lured him, sort of, and then she pushed him away. You see, and again, that's what abandonment does. She didn't really know where she stood. She wanted it and she didn't. You know, she wanted someone and then she didn't. She wasn't really clear because she hasn't done the work to heal herself. You can see that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of disconnection, and as the movie comes to a close and as Tallulah is found out that she is the one who stole the baby, you can see the length to which Caroline went to look for a child now, feeling as a mother that she wanted a child. As the movie comes to a close and Margot finds out that Tallulah might be in trouble, she says to her, let me know, because she's trying to save her, because she understands her suffering and she feels that she needs someone to be there for her, which is humanity. We need to be there for each other. But what are the circumstances? And the thing about it is, you would have thought that Tallulah, would probably let go of the child in the end, especially when her boyfriend, her ex, came back and he said to her, run. But she didn't. She didn't. What she did instead was she came back and then she took the baby. And you're starting to think, did she think that she could get away with this? And also, it was attachment that made her go back to the baby. She was now holding on because she had found an object of attention, an object of attraction, and the baby was close to her now. The baby really liked her, really loved her, and so it was really difficult for her to let go. There's attachment now. So it's important to just explore these, these dynamics when you watch a movie. And in the end, she is of course arrested, and yeah, which is expected, to be honest, although she tried to help this baby. And she asks the mom's baby whether she really wants the baby. And this is a woman who had told Margot that, she wished this on her baby, which is something that interested me quite a lot, because thoughts become things. There are things that we wish for indirectly, and we don't realize we are asking for something that actually can help or happen in our lives. And we don't realize that, because as this woman was disregarding a child and focusing on her looks, on her on looking good, chasing men, and disregarding and neglecting a child, she was actually asking the universe to let go of a child, for her to let go of a child. It wasn't a direct asking, but she was, because she didn't care about this child. What she was doing was to ask the universe, that, tell the universe that she doesn't care about the child. And we do this indirectly when we chase relationships, when we have children and we disconnect and we start focusing on these other people, and then we are not focusing on what matters. We are not focusing on ourselves. We are not focusing on the children in our lives. We are not focusing on other people who really care about us. So we abandon ourselves, and in that we are asking sometimes for things that we don't want in our lives. So it's important for us as healers, self-healers, because our community is full of self-healers, to access anything that you come across. Try to look into the story, into the dynamics, and you can find out some trauma unfolding. To learn more about your trauma, try to be interested in what's happening around you, especially with yourself. What am I doing and why am I doing it? You might find that you have got some traumas, and then that's translated into cognitive distortions that are making you behave in a certain way. As self-healers, we can do the work for ourselves. If, number one, we cannot afford therapy, or we do feel that we can get the support in the community, or we ask for help. It is important that we explore all these options to heal ourselves. Therapy is expensive. Not many people are going to afford it, but people can actually study from home. So if people can study from home, you can also do healing work on your own, as long as you got support, you got some support systems. Join groups like Friends Abroad Relationship School. Join other groups where they talk about attachment, about inner child, and they provide resources. Join groups where people are trying to grow. And as you watch screens, as you listen to songs, as you watch people at work, and as you even watch people in your neighborhood or on the high street, you will actually learn a lot about the trauma in our lives, the trauma in our generations, the intergenerational trauma, and people transmitting trauma to their children, just like what Margot was doing, struggling. Margot also, because of her own abandonment, she ended up having a child abandon her, abandon home, to seek a life somewhere. He was also a drifter, a son, although he wanted to settle down. But for him to be attached or to end up with Tallulah, he also had his own traumas. And for Margot to end up with her husband, she had her own traumas. And for Caroline to end up with her husband and also with what she was doing, she had her own traumas. So it's important that we identify the traumas that we have and start to heal. And the best place also can be from our screens. We will be coming back week by week with a different movie, with different guests from Friends Abroad, to discuss trauma on our screens. I hope that was helpful, and I hope we continue to heal quality life before relationships. Thank you so much, ladies, for watching. Shan, Anna, Deborah, Wadza, and anyone else, Ruby,